everyone, and welcome back to our Hit Sports podcast. This is the PlayGrid Sports podcast presented by Amazon Music. Boy, howdy, we have another great show, folks. Dave, did you know that the Detroit Pistons just wrapped up the regular season with 60 wins? That's their best record in decades, and now they're the top seed heading into the playoffs. But here's the thing, being the best in the regular season doesn't always mean you're taking home the trophy.
That's so true. I mean, just look at past seasons. We've seen top seeds flame out early more times than we can count. The playoffs are a completely different animal, and it's all about who can handle the pressure and adapt on the fly.
Exactly. And this year, the postseason feels especially unpredictable between the play-in tournament and all the injuries to key players. It's like the door is wide open for a surprise team to make a deep run. Let's start with the Eastern Conference, where the Pistons are sitting pretty at the top. Cade Cunningham has been their guy all season, but his health is going to be the big question mark.
Yeah, Cade is the engine for that team. When he's on, he's one of the most versatile players in the league. He can score, facilitate, and defend. But if he's not at 100%, that could really throw a wrench in their plans. And let's not forget, the number one seed always has a target on its back.
That's true, and the Pistons aren't the only team with high expectations. The Boston Celtics are right behind them as the number 2 seed. They've had a strong season, but Jason Tatum's late season injury definitely raised some eyebrows. If he's fully recovered, though, they're going to be a tough out.
Oh, absolutely. Tatum is one of those players who can completely take over a series, and the Celtics have been one of the best defensive teams in the league this year, which is huge in the playoffs. Defense wins championships, right?
That's what they say. And then there's the New York Knicks, who've had one of their best seasons in years. Jalen Brunson has been incredible, and adding Karl Anthony Towns mid-season was a game changer. They're the number 3 seed, and they've got a first-round matchup against the Atlanta Hawks.
That's going to be an interesting series. The Hawks made a bold move trading Trae Young, but it seems like it's worked out for them. Jalen Johnson has really stepped up, and they've got this scrappy underdog vibe now. Still, I think the Knicks have the edge with their star power.
Agreed. And speaking of bold moves, how about the Cleveland Cavaliers? They brought in James Harden, which was a bit of a gamble. On paper, it looks great, but you've got to wonder about the chemistry. Harden's style of play doesn't always mesh well with younger teams.
That's a fair point. Harden is an incredible talent, but he's also known for dominating the ball. If the Cavs can figure out how to integrate him without disrupting their flow, they could be dangerous. But that's a big if.
And then there's the Toronto Raptors, who are the number 5 seed. Like, they've been solid all season, and they've already had some success against the Cavs. That first round matchup's going to be a chess match. Both teams are well coached and have a lot of depth.
For sure. And let's not forget about the play-in teams in the East. The Sixers, Magic, Hornets, and Heat are all fighting for those last 2 playoff spots. The play-in tournament has really added a new level of excitement to the postseason.
It really has. The Sixers and Magic both finished with the same record, and they're going head-to-head. Philly's been dealing with injuries, but if they can get healthy, they're dangerous. And Orlando, they're young, they're talented, and they've got nothing to lose.
And then there's Charlotte, who've been on fire to close the season. They've got this momentum that could carry them through the play-in and into the playoffs. Miami, on the other hand, is trying to bounce back after a disappointing postseason last year. Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is always a wild card.
All right, let's shift over to the Western Conference, where the Oklahoma City Thunder have been the team to beat all year. 64 wins, the number 1 seed, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing at an MVP level. They've been dominant.
No doubt, Shai has been phenomenal, and the Thunder have so much depth. They're built for a deep playoff run, but as we've seen before, being the top seed doesn't guarantee anything. They're going to have to earn it.
Right behind them are the San Antonio Spurs, who've had an incredible season as well. Victor Wembanyama has been as good as advertised, but his health is a bit of a concern heading into the playoffs. If he's not at full strength, that could be a problem.
Yeah, Wemby is a generational talent, but the playoffs are a grind. If he's not at 100%, the Spurs are going to have to rely on their supporting cast. They're well coached, though, so I wouldn't count them out.
And then there's the Denver Nuggets, who are the number 3 seed. Jamal Murray has been on a mission this season, especially after that disappointing playoff loss to the Timberwolves last year. You can tell he's got something to prove.
Definitely, Murray is one of those players who thrives in the spotlight. And with Nikola Jokic anchoring the team, they've got a great inside-out game. Their first-round matchup with the Timberwolves is going to be a fun one to watch.
Speaking of the Timberwolves, they're the number 6 seed, but they've had some health issues with their key players. That could be their Achilles heel.
Yeah, injuries have been a theme for them all season. If they can get everyone healthy, they're dangerous. But that's a big if at this point.
And then there's the Lakers. Injuries to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves have been a setback, but LeBron James is still LeBron James. If anyone can carry a team through adversity, it's him.
Absolutely. LeBron's been defying father time for years now. He's going to need some help, though. The supporting cast has to step up if they're going to make a deep run.
The Rockets at number 5 are another interesting team. They've had a great season, but they're still looking for that go-to closer in crunch time. That could be their downfall.
Yeah, they've got talent, but the playoffs are all about execution in the final minutes. If they can figure that out, they'll be a tough out. But if not, they could be in trouble.
And then there's the play-in teams. The Suns, Clippers, Blazers, and Warriors. The Suns have been hot to close the season, and the Clippers have finally found some rhythm after a rough start.
The Clippers are intriguing. Kawhi Leonard is still one of the best two-way players in the league when he's healthy. If he gets going, they could make some noise. The Warriors, though, are in a weird spot. Do they go all in for a playoff run, or do they start thinking about the future?
It's a tough call. They've got the pedigree, but this season hasn't gone the way they hoped. Either way, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
No doubt. This postseason has all the makings of an instant classic. So many storylines, so much talent. It's going to be a wild ride.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Let the games begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Hit Sports Podcast. This is the PlayGrid Sports Podcast presented by Amazon Music. The expression on Rory McIlroy's face said it all. As he walked up to his ball so right of the 18th fairway at Augusta National that it was nearly on the 10th, he let out a deep sigh and shook his head. Of course, it was not going to be easy, not at the Masters, not for him, not after holding a 6-shot, 36-hole lead, and not even after already experiencing the feeling of having one here before. The perfect final tee shot he hit last year to win the Masters in a playoff was a faint memory. Now, he had to find a way to get the ball in the hole in 5 strokes to wear the green jacket again. I thought it was so difficult to win last year because of trying to win the Masters and the Grand Slam, McIlroy said. And then this year, I realized it's just really difficult to win the Masters. I tried to convince myself it was both. The 2-shot lead McIlroy held set up for a simple coronation. Hit it in the fairway, plop it on the green, and bask in the moment. A stress-free walk up the 18th fairway that he was unable to experience a year ago. Instead, McIlroy slipped on his glove and took a long, unceremonious walk to move the gallery of patrons and create a clear view of his target. He was going to need to pull off one last escape. I don't make it easy, McIlroy said. I used to make it easy back in my early 20s when I was winning these things by 8 shots. It's just hard. It's hard to win golf tournaments. Both want the April trip to come as soon as possible while also dreading the pressure and potential failure that loomed. Now, Augusta had transformed into a place of his greatest triumph, so McIlroy found himself gravitating here again and again. Recalling advice from Jack Nicklaus about how he prepared for tournaments by simulating a full tournament in practice, McIlroy played rounds at Augusta with 1 ball and discovered new portions of the golf course he'd never thought about. The rumor on the grounds this week was that, in one of those rounds, he had shot a would-be course record 62. Other times, he slowed down, chipping and putting on the manicured surfaces as if he were rereading a book for which he had come to find a new affinity. I felt prepared in that way. I felt prepared that wherever I hit it on the golf course, I sort of know what to do. I know where to miss, McIlroy said. I'm pretty comfortable with all the shots around the greens. When he raced out to share of the lead Thursday and a 6-shot lead Friday after shooting a 65, it was a welcome confirmation. The work he had put in had paid off. Despite not having his best stuff, missing fairways and pulling his irons, he was relishing every spot in which he put himself. "My scrambling and my short game and my putting," McIlroy said. "That's what won me the tournament this week." And yet, even familiarity could not change McIlroy's software. He squandered his six-shot lead in a flash Saturday and had to dig deep to rescue his chances. Sunday was no different. He lost his share of the lead on the second hole, then regained it on the third. He double-bogeyed the fourth hole and added another bogey at the sixth. He was suddenly 2 shots behind. The roller coaster ride continued. McIlroy birdied no. 7 and no. 8 and arrived at Amen Corner with a one-stroke lead. He stepped up to the tee on no. 12 and took his mind back to 2009 when he played a practice round with Tom Watson, who offered a kernel of advice on the deceptive winds by Rays Creek that have fooled many. "He always waited until he felt where the wind should be, and then just hit it," McIlroy said. "Just hit it as soon as you can." McIlroy stood on the tee, a 9-iron in his hand, and waited. The suspense hung in the air. The wind was swirling. His caddy, Harry Diamond, grabbed a few blades of grass, walked forward and checked again. He stepped back and McIlroy stepped in and quickly swung the club back. The ball curved with the breeze, landed and rolled to 7 feet. Birdie. Oh no. 13, he drove it 350 yards in the fairway for the first time all week and rattled in another. A year after playing Amen Corner in 3 over par, McIlroy maneuvered his way through the trio of holes 5 shots better, and with a lead he would not relinquish. Not this time. On a day when no one seemed eager or capable of staying atop the leaderboard, McIlroy again did just enough to find himself there by doing it the only way he knows, not with dominance but with drama. Not with certainty but by displaying the full range of emotions and bringing everyone along for the ride. Of all the big sports, I do think it is the most mental. "It's the most challenging mentally," McIlroy said. "I think it's hard to stay in the same mental space for 4 days in a row." After getting his shot on 18 up and around every possible tree in his way and into the bunker that nearly snuffed his dream last year, McIlroy watched his par putt trickle by a few inches before marking it. At last, there was no more doubt or possible pitfalls awaiting him. He turned toward the back of the green, saw his family and raised his arms. It was more joy and not as much of an overwhelming cascade of emotions as last year, he later explained. Those hit later when, after slipping into his green jacket again, he spoke directly to his parents. "Mom and Dad, I owe everything to you," McIlroy said through tears. "You're the most wonderful parents. And if I can be half the parent to Poppy that you were to me, then I know I've done a good job." Both had spent last April across the Atlantic, watching their son wrestle with himself late into the night before emerging victorious. This year, the two were here, Jerry following Rory's rounds throughout the week while Rosie tagged along, a handbag slung over her shoulder that was painted with newspaper clippings of McIlroy's Grand Slam victory. "I caught myself on the golf course a couple of times thinking about them, and I was like, no, not yet, not yet," McIlroy said. When he finally allowed himself to think about them, McIlroy stepped off the 18th green and found their embrace. A year ago, he had refashioned this place from a personal hall of horrors into a house he will be coming back to for the rest of his career. On Sunday, as McIlroy emerged a Masters champion again and buried his head in between his parents' shoulders, it looked a lot like home. The intrigue surrounding the future of A.J. Brown will hit another level as we approach the NFL draft. Brown has been the subject of trade conversations following a frustrating season in Philly for the Pro Bowl receiver, with momentum toward any potential deal appearing to wax and wane as the offseason has gone by. Now comes a critical point in the NFL calendar when deals are made and draft halls help shape teams' views about the state of the roster. The Eagles haven't been highly incentivized to move Brown to this point, in large part due to the financials. A trade before June 1st would come with a 2026 cap hit of over $40 million, compared to less than $20 million if he's dealt after that date. It doesn't make sense for the front office to part with a star player and become cap-strapped as a result, unless it receives a sizable return. The Eagles took another step in solidifying what could be a post-Brown receiver room with the acquisition of Dontavian Wicks, sending a 2026 fifth-round pick and a 2027 sixth-round pick to the Green Bay Packers last week for the fourth-year wideout before signing him to a one-year, $12.5 million extension. Wicks has familiarity with offensive coordinator Sean Mannion from their time together in Green Bay, and with that salary, is all but certain to carve out a role in the offense. The draft represents a bit of a pressure point, though, given its ability to alter a franchise's perspective on its personnel. As an example, the New England Patriots are widely considered the favorite to acquire Brown. But what if the board falls a certain way and they feel compelled to take a receiver early? That would mean they'd have invested not only, say, a first-round pick in the position this offseason, but also a good deal of money after inking Romeo due to a 4-year, $68 million contract in free agency. Would they be as eager to hand over significant resources to land Brown? There is something to be said for making a deal while you still have a dance partner. If general manager Howie Roseman feels convicted in the strategy of waiting until June despite those variables, we could be in for another month plus of Brown speculation. Still, the Eagles would need to move forward with the business of building out their team. Roster construction from a macro perspective is going to be based on a vision. That vision doesn't change by one particular player, Roseman said, when asked at the league meetings in Arizona how the uncertainty around Brown impacts their approach. There is a decent chance Philadelphia selects a receiver in the draft. Perhaps to the good fortune of the Eagles. This is a well-regarded receiver class. They hold 9 picks in all, including numbers 23, 54, and 68 overall in the first 3 rounds. A number of wideouts are being projected to go in the Eagles' first-round range, including Texas A&M's Casey Concepcion, Washington's Denzel Boston, and Omar Cooper Jr. Of Indiana. ESPN's Peter Schrager has the Eagles selecting Boston in his mock draft. Boston is electric, and Washington coach Jed Fish and Eagles general manager Howie Roseman are longtime college buddies. Some NFL sources I have spoken to have Boston as the 2nd or 3rd wideout in this class. And if the Eagles take him, A.J. Brown's future becomes all the more interesting and will undoubtedly hit the A block on Get Up on Friday morning coming out of the draft. Philadelphia knows that targeting a specific position, especially at that stage in the first round, narrows the pool and reduces the hit rate, so they try to fill most of the holes on their roster prior to the draft to keep them from reaching. At receiver, they did so by signing veterans Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore to 1-year deals. I love their speed, their ability to get in and out of breaks and create separation, how they are with the ball in their hands, Coach Nick Sirianni said of Hollywood Brown and Moore. The front office believes Devonta Smith is more than capable of thriving with a heightened workload, and the recent additions give the Eagles some solid options to pair with him. But the hole left by Brown would be rather large, and it will take further efforts to try to fill it. Perhaps the stars align and they take a swing toward that end with the 23rd pick. One way or another, there will be more clarity around the Brown situation before long.
Ever wonder what really powers your favorite baseball team? Is it just the talent on the field, or something far bigger? Something in the billions? Good morning, and welcome to the world where baseball meets big business. You're listening to a special broadcast from Diamond Dollars, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the colossal finances behind America's pastime. We go beyond the box score to explore the strategic spending, the record-breaking contracts, and the sheer economic might shaping Major League Baseball today. Forget the stats on stolen bases for a moment. We're diving into the staggering figures of the competitive balance tax and the mind-boggling payrolls that define the game's elite. If you've ever felt there's more to the game than meets the eye, Diamond Dollars is your definitive playbook. Imagine this. A single baseball series with 2 teams whose combined player expenditure for the coming season eclipses over $1 billion. Yes, you heard that right, over $1.07 billion. We're talking about the financial arms race between Steve Cohen's New York Mets and the powerhouse Los Angeles Dodgers. Diamond Dollars dissects how the Dodgers command a staggering $413 million payroll, fueled by deals like Shohei Ohtani's historic $700 million contract, even with its massive deferrals, and how their immense local TV revenue and league-leading fan attendance sustain this powerhouse. Then we pivot to the Mets, led by an owner with a reported $20 billion net worth, operating at an intentional loss to pursue a World Series title, signing players like Juan Soto to a colossal 15-year, $765 million deal. We reveal how this unprecedented spending impacts the entire league.
But how did we truly get to this point, where individual player contracts rival national budgets? Diamond Dollars also travels back in time to the revolutionary roots of baseball's free agency, recently celebrating its 50th anniversary. We trace its origins from the landmark Andy Messersmith ruling in 1976, which shattered the reserve clause and transformed player power forever. We celebrate the legends free agency created, from Barry Bonds' game-changing initial 6-year, $43.8 million deal with the Giants, evolving into a 14-year tenure of unparalleled dominance, to Greg Maddox's pivotal 1993 move to the Braves, reshaping an entire dynasty. And crucially, we don't shy away from the costly missteps, the record-breaking contracts that tragically fizzled, reminding us that even in baseball, immense spending comes with immense risk and potential for disappointment.
Are you tired of just seeing the headlines about record contracts without truly understanding the why behind them? Do you feel lost in the intricate competitive balance tax calculations or the long-term implications of deferred salaries and escalating luxury tax penalties? Diamond Dollars cuts through the noise and confusion. We explain the intricate financial strategies, the role of audacious team ownership like Steve Cohen's relentless pursuit of a championship at almost any cost, and how underlying revenue disparities create the current, often volatile economic landscape of MLB. Gain exclusive insights into the business acumen, the triumphs, and the occasional blunders that define modern Major League Baseball. Understand the future of the sport's economic evolution and how it directly impacts the game you love.
Don't just watch the game, understand the game behind the game. New, insightful episodes of Diamond Dollars are available right now, giving you the inside track on baseball's biggest financial stories. Each week, we bring you expert analysis, breaking down the business of baseball with unparalleled clarity and depth. Make sure you're not missing out on these vital discussions shaping the sport. Tune in to Diamond Dollars today. It's easy. Open your favorite podcast app, search for Diamond Dollars, and hit subscribe. That's Diamond Dollars, your essential authoritative guide to understanding baseball's economic powerhouse. Don't miss out on peeling back the layers of wealth, strategy, and risk that make up America's pastime. Again, that's Diamond Dollars. Open your podcast app, search for Diamond Dollars, and subscribe now. Whether you're a casual fan curious about the staggering sums or a seasoned insider looking for deeper economic analysis, Diamond Dollars provides the unparalleled financial perspective you need. From the Mets' high-stakes gambles for a title to the Dodgers' dominant, meticulously designed dynasty, we cover the real score behind the scoreboard. Understand the complex interplay of money and talent that defines modern baseball. Listen to Diamond Dollars, available wherever you get your podcasts. Explore the untold stories of baseball's billions. Make sure Diamond Dollars is in your podcast lineup. Now